As I'm sure you know, a bunch of racist people got mad at the Odyssey, which is annoying for a lot of people. Well, it's frustrating for minorities because, you know, racism. And it's frustrating for me because I didn't really like it that much either, but I have actual reasons. I'm just going to distance myself from all those racist people now and say, hello, welcome to a sane person's critique of the Odyssey. First, I'm going to start with the positives because I want to prove that I am not taking the piss. I really like the score. Uh, I particularly want to shout out the chord that plays when he plucks his bow. That's a great touch because first, it's just very stylish. I get like dopamine straight into my brain whenever that happens in the movie. Second, more importantly, probably, it draws attention to this action that actually characterizes him really well. The whole plucking the bow thing is a flawed sense of honor, right? Like you're still bringing a ranged weapon and you're still going to kill this animal. Like it's not really that honorable. It sums up Odysseus really well because he puts so much faith in this Zeus's law thing, which is actually like really stupid, but we'll get into that later. Second thing, there were actually some really good shots. I think most Christopher Nolan movies are kind of ugly. When I think of Christopher Nolan, I think of someone who has these really interesting plots, very cool like sequences individually, and can build tension. This is his best thing. He can build tension really well and make these like really cool moments. Like think about the first time you watched like the end of Memento or like the beginning of The Dark Knight is really famous. Like there's a bunch of like scenes in Christopher Nolan movies that are like that's that scene. Like the tension is like palpable. He's really good at that. But I've never thought of him as someone that makes like really good looking movies. Like to me that always seemed as something very secondary to him, which I've had problems with. There are multiple times throughout this movie that I was like, "Wow, that looks really good. That's a really well composed shot." I have a few examples from the trailer. My third thing is that some sequences individually were very cool. Everything with the Cyclops, that was great. I don't really have any specifics. That and the whole Trojan horse bit, just I was locked in. Like those two things to me exemplify like when the movie was at its best. Like these characters seem complex, there's a lot of tension. You don't know who's going to die besides like probably not Matt Damon. But you even see like more interesting than that is when they get out of the cave and Odysseus turns back and just shoots the Cyclops and it ends up like costing his men. Like I love that moment. That shows his flawed sense of honor. Like he goes into so much like he keeps telling himself like I'm saving my men. I have to save the most men possible and just does this stupid bull like all the time because he's a moron. That's maybe one of the best moments of the movie is when he decides to shoot back because that's like a real person. That's when he feels real. Um, Pretty much everything else is negative. The most immediately noticeable thing when you're watching this movie is that the editing is bad. It just sucks. The editing is not good. You will be watching a conversation like what is going on? Like the camera is all over the place. You're just going to these random angles at random times. There's no flow. There's no pace. Sometimes there's like weird continuity stuff, which like I normally don't care about at all, but I think normally having a continuity error is fine because usually it's like, oh, well, this is the shot we have to use, but it's worth it because like it makes this cut look good. It makes this shot like this shot to this shot. That's good. It's worth like, oh, well, their hand's not really in the right place, whatever. But like the editing's already really bad. And so you're also going to have these continuity errors. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, didn't you guys spend like hundreds of millions of dollars on this? There's actually a moment towards the end in an over the shoulder shot of Robert Pattinson where you can clearly see his mouth moving, except like Robert Pattinson's character's not talking in that. Like, his character has finished talking, but then it cuts to an over the shoulder and his mouth is like, the editing is very weird. Any scene in the like Great Hall, the editing is terrible. The editing in the scene between Tom Holland and his Mom Holland, where they're talking and she like gets all up in his face. Really whack. The editing is super whack. Speaking of which, my second thing that I did not like is that every scene that takes place in Ithaca is bad, and I don't care. His family has no character. It's not interesting. There's no tension. I think the performances by Tom Holland and Anne Hathaway are not good. Tom is underacting. Anne Hathaway is overacting and also like out of focus a lot of the time, which is weird. Normally she's a great actress. I don't know what's going on there. Tom Holland, I mean, normally he's Spider-Man, so I don't know if I can say like if he's a good actor or not. He's just like doing flips. Just watching these scenes, it just feels like Nolan doesn't care about anything that happens on this island. And, you know, now neither do I. Like everything that's interesting is going on with Odysseus. So he's just chopping these scenes up and speed running to the end so he can get back to the boat. Like you never think his son is going to die. I honestly didn't even care if his wife was going to get remarried or not. There were scenes where she was talking to Robert Pattinson, and I'm like, let him, like I don't care. Maybe it would make it more interesting. It just didn't matter. These scenes being bad is really a symptom of there being no real emotional core of this movie. What it is supposed to be is this relationship between his son and his wife and him. Like you want him to come back because you feel for his son, you feel for his wife, and you feel for him. But that doesn't work here. Think about Interstellar, where it does work with him and his daughter and his son. That sort of thing works in Interstellar because we spend the first 40 minutes on Earth seeing these characters interact, and we can tell that they care deeply about each other, and we can see their flaws, and they feel like a family and human beings that talk to each other. But like we get so little of Odysseus and his family before he leaves, and it doesn't make enough of an impact for me to care about any of these scenes where they're waiting for him to come back. When I watched the movie, the entire time I just felt nothing. Nothing at all. Emotionally, I was just sitting there and it made these scenes like just pointless. The third problem is that Zeus's law is so stupid. I hate Zeus's law. I don't want to hear about it. You can tell that he's setting it up to be some big plot point because I mentioned it in like one of the first scenes. It should not be the focus of this film. And you're like, this is gonna be like a Nolan ass like thing. You like there were a lot of times when I was watching this movie and I'm like, yeah, this you can tell this is made by the dude that made The Dark Knight Rises. Like it should not be the focus of the film. The idea of him feeling bad because he thinks he killed Athena in battle, that is interesting. That guilt is something to chew on. And even though we have this signature Nolan scene where one character explains all the core ideas of the movie to another character, it happens in every Nolan movie. That idea remains interesting. That's like one of the most interesting parts of the movie. And it like retroactively, it's like that is the only reason that this story has to be told out of order. Thing that I There's a couple things about it that I think are really stupid though. One of them is that the movie's trying to imply that the people of the sea that everyone is worried about are actually like Odysseus and his crew, and that them killing Athena because they ignored or broke Zeus's law, like everything that happens to them is some kind of like karmic justice for this. That's stupid. What actually happens to Odysseus and his crew? Every time they go to an island, they're like, "Hi, we're here to be peaceful." And then they get clapped. Like they immediately get like destroyed and like a lot of them die and they have to run away. And it's like these are the people that you're worried about? Like coming like we have to build an army to defend ourselves from these guys that get destroyed every single time they go anywhere. Also, if the point is the other way around and it's like, oh, well, they wouldn't have gotten destroyed if other people followed Zeus's law, like that's stupid too, because the idea is like, oh, you can't hurt anyone, like you can't mistreat visitors because they could be gods in disguise. Is a god, is it like it's a whole army? Like they're not gonna a god isn't gonna be disguised as a whole army. That doesn't make sense. Also, the law in itself is just stupid and it's actually like really selfish. Like the only reason that you're not gonna mistreat people is just because they might be some deity that's gonna like be mad that you did that and and make the rest of your life miserable, they already do that. They already just do shit for fun to make you sad, like, all the time. I mostly bring that up because I just think it's funny, but, like, that part, like, it's annoying. I don't think that makes the movie bad. I just think it makes it dumb. What I think makes the movie bad is that this whole guilt thing that Damon is supposed to be feeling, like, it just gets completely washed away when he comes to his house and starts killing everybody. He has this scene with his wife where he's like, "Oh no, I broke Zeus's law and he's walking through Troy and all these innocent people are dying like left and right at his hand." And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sad." And the next day he's like, I'm just gonna turn into John Wick and kill everybody." Like, what are you talking about? First of all, he doesn't learn anything. Second of all, the action is terrible. Like, we're supposed to see this as some awesome moment. People in my audience were like going crazy. They were like, "Oh, holy shit." Like, when it's happening, I'm like, "Are you serious?" This is like if at the end of Oppenheimer, which, I might have my own video on that. This is like if at the end of Oppenheimer, like, Cillian Murphy just nukes RDJ. Like, that that's so stupid. Like, no lesson was learned here. And on top of that, the action in the scene is not good. He does not look cool spinning around two axes and bonking people on the head. He does not look cool flinging out these arrows. Like, whose idea was it to shoot for him to shoot arrows like this? Even if I don't think it's historically accurate, even if it is historically accurate, like, just make it look cooler. This looks so dumb. Like, he's actually like, this is how he looks shooting the arrow. He's like, "Oh, I killed that guy. I killed that guy." That looks so stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And it doesn't help that we've brought back the terrible editing. That last scene was terrible. And Tom Holland does not look cool, barely getting the one guy that's like only half trying to fight him. This whole scene just didn't work at all. Him shooting through the axes is cool. Everything after that is incredibly stupid. I'm not even going to bring up Cersei. Everyone that even liked the movie has already acknowledged that she's a fake character and doesn't do anything. So uh I'm getting worked up. It gets so dumb. Like, this movie, like, I don't think this is a bad movie. I just think it's a dumb movie. I think it's stupid. And if you want to watch a movie that's really stupid, then just watch Tenet. This shot's pretty good. Being able to frame it with the person and show that they're looking at this, like, this is kind of the subject with really good leading lines to the escape. The top here, this sky, and then breaking up this horizon line with the smoke, and then these lines with the spikes coming out. That's all really good. This is doing a lot of work to balance the left side, but if I had one critique, it's still lacking a little bit of visual weight on the left side. Just because this is like so much. I don't know. This is great. I mean, you start like here, and then you kind of scan across the battlefield, which is like presumably is what they're doing. So, pretty good shot. This one's not like as interesting, but it's still pretty well composed. This is the main subject, just a little off center right. Um, Pretty good. It is balanced by this and the giant clouds being mostly on the left. These are breaking up this really strong horizontal line that also kind of is the last bit of balance is this little mountain that's far in the background over here. Just adding just enough visual pull. Like, this is a very well balanced shot. Not a lot going on, especially maybe down in the ocean bits, but still very well balanced. All right, and then this is definitely my favorite from these three. I mean, you have these really strong horizontal lines made from the beach, the people, and the dunes that is being broken up, all of them by this guy, even head poking up over the top right here. That's awesome. This is pulling a bunch of visual weight, and it's so tall, also breaking up that horizon line with these people, and it's like physically pulling against them. Another interesting thing about this shot is he like their looks are leading your eye, so you see him. He's actually looking at these people, and they are all looking at this. Um, so I mean, this shot is great. Like this is empty, but it kind of needs to be because there's so much um going on here to draw your eye in. So this is a very well composed shot.